sitting down today to do a Q&A all about our move. So I've got all my questions that have been submitted through social media here, and I'm going to answer every single one of them. If you're new here, welcome. Hello, my name is Leigh. You can find me over on Instagram at holistic_Leigh. You can also check out my website, leighmcswan.com. If you have not yet subscribed, please make sure you do that. As we progress further on this journey, I'm going to be uploading more videos and just start sharing some behind the scenes stuff. So if that's of interest to you and you just want to look into the way that we're living our unconventional lives, then make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell so that you get notified. But I do post on Instagram almost every single day, so you can see a lot of content over there. I am basically in this season of life right now where we are making some massive shifts in the way that we are raising our children and the way that we are choosing to live our lives. So with that said, let's dive into some of these questions. First question is, many times over, where are you moving to? We are moving from Canada. We currently live just outside the Toronto area in Ontario, Canada, and we are moving to Costa Rica. I have not found one place online that didn't appeal to me. Every single place that I've looked at and looked into, I'm like, yes, I want to be there. I want to see that. I want to experience that. I want to live there for a certain amount of time. So choosing where we settle down and where we put our quote-unquote roots and our foundation is still up in the air. Okay, the next question is the move temporary or permanent? We don't know. We don't know yet. We would love for it to be permanent, but we are extremely flexible. We can't make any decisions on where we will be permanently at this point in time in our lives. Our biggest priority has and always will be our kids and making sure that they are healthy and happy and thriving and have a great social life. And they are very much a part of this move and a part of this journey, this next chapter, if you will. And we just told them that we'd be committing to at least a year in Costa Rica specifically. After that, we will reevaluate. So if they are really hating it and they are not doing well, we have no problem coming back to Canada. Joel and I definitely don't want to come back to Canada, but it's not about us right now. It's about the kids and us as a family. So we'll kind of just leave it up in the air. If we just decide that we want to travel around the world for a little bit, that is definitely something that we will do. So it is neither temporary nor is it permanent at this point. Will your fur babies go with you? Absolutely. I could never leave my pets anywhere. They are an extension of our family. We love them so much. And Brewster is getting up there. Like, Brewster is 14. So I can't think of a better place for my hairless Chinese crested to live out his final years. He loves the sun. He loves the beach. He loves water. So it makes me really happy that I can give him these last, well, we don't really know. It could be months, it could be years. Who knows how long he has, but he will absolutely be with us in Costa Rica. Same with Wallace. Oh my gosh, I don't think he would allow us to rehome him. He loves our family so much. Right from the second we adopted him, he was in here, he fit in, got right into everything, and he just acted like he'd known us his entire life. It was really cool. We're just trying to figure out right now how we're getting them down there. Brewster has never been in a crate ever one time in his entire life, so I'm not entirely sure how that will go. Wallace is pretty much fine in a crate. Like, I put him in a crate when he goes to get groomed. I don't know how they would be with a 5-hour trip in a crate. Somebody said, will you be selling your furniture? LOL, interested. I had a couple people ask me about what we're doing with our stuff and if I was selling it. I think a lot of you guys think that a lot of the beautiful things in my home are mine. Over the last 6 months while the house was being sold, my house was staged. So I don't own a lot of the beautiful things that you guys probably want. Yes, I will be selling a good chunk of things. I don't want to hang on to things. I'm not attached to things. I'm probably the least sentimental person ever, almost to a fault. I feel much better having less stuff than I do holding on to things just for the sake of a memory. That being said, I do take photos of pretty much everything so that I have that memory. I just don't want to have the stuff, you know. I find it very daunting to have things to look after, to put away, to clean. Like it stresses me out. So that being said, again, this is something that's still a little bit up in the air for us. We're not entirely sure if we will put a lot of things in storage and just kind of see what happens after that 1 year mark, or if we just sell everything and, you know, figure it out, buy stuff down the road. We don't really know. There's definitely stuff that, like I have a couple of really expensive pieces that I still really love and would love to not have to reinvest in them. Like my bed is a custom made bed. I just bought the kids brand new beds like a year ago, 2 years ago maybe. So they're still perfectly good pieces of furniture that I am still enjoying, but it's just that idea of, do I want to hang on to these possessions? So don't know yet. But whatever I do have for sale, I'll be making a separate Instagram page for, so that I can just easily sell things, take pictures of them, and then people can just pick them up from my house. So I will be announcing that once it's up and live on Instagram. Okay, why are you moving? That's such a loaded question. I'm gonna leave a link to a video, the last video that I did prior to this one, that explains the why behind this move. And that is just a piece of that story. Like there's a lot of reasons that we decided to move, but the one reason that kind of pulled the trigger for us is in that video. Okay, somebody said, why Costa Rica, besides the fact that it is obviously going to be an amazing adventure? This is going to sound crazy. I know that. Joel and I neither of us have been to Costa Rica before. It's just one of those places that has always been on my radar. I've always felt called there. I've always been drawn to it. There's just so many things that I love about Costa Rica. So the fact that we've never been there is actually really exciting to us. We've both been to a handful of places. I think Joel's more well-traveled than I am. Like I haven't even been to Europe or Asia or anything. Like I've kind of just done like North America, Central America, and like the Caribbean. But yeah, we like the fact that it's a place that neither of us have been. There's so much to explore. There's so much to do. There's a lot of really great expat communities as well, which is nice for the kids. It won't be as much of a culture shock because they won't be going into like exclusively Spanish speaking areas, which I'm absolutely not opposed to. We will be taking Spanish lessons because to me, it's really important that we go into a country with respect and the intent to integrate, not change things. So speaking the native language is really important to me as just something that I think is a socially respectable way to reside in somebody else's country. So yeah, that part of it was important. There's lots of great international schools for the kids as well. Even though we will be predominantly educating them, I still would like for them to go into like an alternative school, kind of like what they're doing now, like a Waldorf inspired type of school, just so that they can meet friends and have connections and they have their lives separate from just me and Joel. So there's so many perks to Costa Rica. I love that there are many different microclimates. I like that there's so much nature. I love that I could have a farm there if I wanted to. I can grow fruits and vegetables. I can raise animals. I love the democracy there. Their new president seems amazing. I like the political climate there. Yeah, there's so many reasons that we love Costa Rica. Do you still have your RV or did you sell it? So we currently still have the RV, but it is currently listed for sale. So we won't be renting it out this year, even though we have tons of time. We could rent it out before we move. We were kind of humming and hawing about whether or not we would sell it. We definitely can't bring it to Costa Rica. The roads are not equipped. They don't have the mechanics that would be able to do things like general things that an RV needs tending to mechanically. the RV that we have is a Class A motorhome, so it's a really big one. Their roads are suitable for C-Class motorhomes. So we may grab something like that when we're down there. Who knows? Like, the world is really our oyster at this point. We were planning on taking it down south over March break and surprising the kids with a trip, but with all the chemical spills and the plants that keep blowing up in the States right now, I don't feel comfortable being there in a vehicle. It's just too much of a risk for us right now, and I just don't feel comfortable doing it, which is really sad because I would love to travel throughout the US and see some states that I've never been to and like check out some of the national parks and whatnot, but we don't know. I personally would love to hang on to it and have it if we were to come back to travel throughout Canada and see like the East Coast. We would love to do that with the kids, but I don't know if it's worth keeping. It's up in the air. Like so many of these questions, my answers will be similar. Okay, somebody said, what will you do there for jobs? So Joel is retired. So he is not doing anything. That being said, he will definitely want to work at some point. He's not somebody that sits still. So we made an agreement that he's not allowed to work for at least a year. He needs to focus on his health and his healing. And at that point, whatever opportunities present themselves, we are open to receiving that. We don't have a plan. For the first time in our lives, we really don't have a plan. And that is both terrifying, exciting, and it's almost cathartic in a way, because it's just us allowing things to come to us instead of us chasing them. I will continue running my business and I will be able to work remote. Like, I can work anywhere with my Young Living business. That's the beauty of having a network marketing business that you can take online. There is a warehouse in Costa Rica. So it's a relatively new market. I think it opened up right before the pandemic. So 2019 it opened. And we had actually planned to go, and I wanted to like start building a business down there. And then the pandemic hit, and it's just kind of funny how everything plays out as it has. But yeah, like all I need to work my Young Living business is Wi-Fi and my phone, and I have that, so it's going to be no problem for me. I'm just going to keep growing it. Like, not a question, but lots of people have been telling me that this is something that they've wanted to do. So I say, honestly, just go for it. We pushed ourselves into this completely unprepared, but that's the joy of doing it, right? Like, you have one life. You have one shot at this. And if you're not living it for yourself, what the heck is the point? So yeah, lots of people asking me, how do you do this? And questions like, this is our dream. This is my goal. I've wanted to do something like this. Wish I could do something like this. So I don't really have any advice other than just start getting things in order. Just take care of whatever you need to take care of. Start planning, start preparing, start selling things, start getting your ducks in a row, and just do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You sell your house and then you end up not loving it. You decide to come back and buy another house. Like, it's not that complicated. I think we overcomplicate things as a way to not take a scary action. Okay, so where in Costa Rica? There's a couple areas that we're really interested in, and we have a couple of friends that are down there. So definitely looking at their area. And then, so definitely want to be on the Pacific side of Costa Rica. Where that is, I'm not entirely sure. I kind of almost have to get there and feel the humidity to decide if I want to be in a beach town or if I need to be a little bit more inland. I think for the sake of my hair and my mood, will probably not be directly in a beach town. I don't want to deal with being sticky and humid feeling all the time. It's not my journey. So currently we're looking at Uvita, we're looking at Samara, we're looking at Santa Teresa, Tamarindo area. Like, just like I said earlier, there's not one place that I've looked at and said, no, I don't want to see that. So we'll probably live in each province for a handful of months at a time. And then somebody asked, are you buying or renting in Costa Rica? So we are absolutely not buying anything until we are dead set on the fact that we want a house again. We will rent as soon as we get there. We'll just like Airbnb it, long-term rental. And after maybe 2 years or so, we'll decide if we want to buy or if we want to build. We're more inclined to build just because then we can have things exactly as we want. But there are a lot of perks to buying a house in Costa Rica because you can get, the majority of houses are sold fully furnished, and to import things into the country is very expensive. I believe it's a 30% import tax, but that would not be ideal. So if we bought something, it would probably be easier, it'd probably be more economical, but I really have always dreamed of building my own house, and that would be really cool to do in Costa Rica with the kids there alongside of us. But again, we want to travel a lot. Like I want to take the kids throughout Europe. I want to do parts of Southeast Asia. I want to do Central and South America with them. So I don't really want to be tied down to a house. After having the house that we have, which we love, like this house is beautiful. It is awesome. The property is amazing. The location is amazing. We have the best neighbors. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work. We have over 2.5 acres, and I just would always notice Joel's just always got a project. There's always something to do. And we even had like a lot of help with this house as well too. Like we had a cleaner, we had somebody cutting our grass for us. Like, and I don't say that to be like, oh, we had so much help and yet I'm still struggling. Like, I don't mean that to sound whatever, but even with all the support, we just found like it was eating up so much of the time that we would have with our kids. And it just felt like we were never caught up on anything. And granted, this is an older house. It's not like old, but it's over 20 years old. So there's a lot of maintenance that has to happen on the property and to the house. And it just felt like so much all the time. And financially, it's very expensive to keep up a house like this, to pay people to help you. It just felt like a vicious cycle of working to buy help to help you pay for the house that you're going to work for, you know? Like, we just really reevaluated everything after Joel got sick, and the values that we had on things like having a great big house and property and all that changed. I would still always want to have property. I can honestly say I would never move back into a community. I love having land, and I just saw a huge change in my kids when they had so much space to explore and I didn't have to sit there and watch them. Like, I don't have any worries out here in the country. Like, my kids are safe. They are with nature. It is so beautiful and harmonious for the type of childhood that my kids do really well with. In a subdivision, which is what we came from before this place, we loved it. And even still, like, we kind of had the best of both worlds with our subdivision home. We were in a subdivision, but we backed onto a ravine lot and had like forest behind us. It was great. But, this is so off topic and such a tangent. Yeah, we really definitely value the land, the privacy, the ability to be self-sufficient and to have a sustainable lifestyle. We don't value having a great big house anymore. This house is almost 4,000 square feet. And I love it. Like, I love having my own space, and I love that my guests, when they come over, they have their own section of the house with a private bathroom and a private entryway and all that. That is amazing, but is not worth the lifestyle that we had to live in order to keep paying for all of that. So, like I said, you can check out the last video that I did. We just wanted a completely different change of pace, and we don't want to own a home right now. We want something that we can just not be responsible for and just have these last, like, my kids, my oldest is going to be 12 this year. My youngest is going to be 10. Like, I'm already over halfway done with their childhood and the majority of the time that you spend with your kids happens before the age of 18 for the rest of their lives. So hearing something like that and realizing that my oldest is only 6 years away from being 18, I don't give a shit about anything else other than spending as much time as I possibly can with my kids and having these memories and these experiences with them. I just freaking want my kids. That's all I want. I just want time with my kids, experiences, and a stress-free life. And this is the path to that. Okay, other questions. Okay, lots of questions on why Costa Rica. Okay, was it a family decision? And how do the boys feel? Are they excited? So yes, this was a family decision for the most part. At the point in time where we made the decision that Joel was sick and needed to leave the company that he started, the kids weren't as included in that conversation because that was more of like us weighing the risk reward assessment of him continuing to run his business. So they weren't a part of that conversation. It was also a very heavy conversation about his health and about financial obligations and our finances and stuff like that. So we didn't include the kids in that. But after that conversation, we did bring them into it because how they feel matters so much to us. And we had to basically frame it in a way that meant to them that their voices mattered and that they had a say up until that 1 year mark. This was what we had planned to do. After that 1 year mark, we as a family will make decisions as to what we do next. So they are very comfortable knowing that it's not permanent, nor is it temporary, but that this is their life too, right? Like it's not just about me and Joel, it's about us as a family and the kids specifically. They know that they're included in all of the decisions and they know that we have their best interests at heart. And we just said to them, like, even if you think that you're going to disappoint mommy and daddy by saying you're not happy here, you feel like Canada's home, we want you to express that. Like, we really don't want them to just try to appease us. Yes, overall, the boys are very excited. My youngest has some more reservations than my older one. I think my older son would be the type of person that grabs a backpack after he turns 18 and goes and travels the world and just lives his life exclusively for him, which is awesome. My younger son is more of like a homebody. He likes foundation, he likes roots. So this is definitely going to be out of his comfort zone. But overall, because they understand that we will be together as a family and they get to see their dad way more than when he ran his company and was working like 16-hour days, they're happy about that. So overall, everybody's excited, but there are definitely times when emotions are high. And that's to be expected, of course. We're learning that it's not always just happiness and excitement and look at all the things we get to do and look at the beaches we get to go to and check out the weather that we'll get to be in. Like, we get caught up in that, but then we quickly realize that the kids are going to have other things that are weighing on them and concerning them. So we're definitely being more intentional with having open and honest conversations with them. Somebody said, congrats, thank you. Wouldn't traveling and moving to Costa Rica cost more money than staying? So first of all, this isn't a financially motivated move. This isn't so that we can save money. Yes, we absolutely will be saving money. It is much, much cheaper for us to live in Costa Rica than it is to live in Canada. The cost of living in Canada is insane, especially when we're trying to do things a different way. Like being small business owners, we pay for things out of pockets. Like, we don't have benefits. So it actually is cheaper for us to live in Costa Rica, but it's really not about that. Luckily, we're in a place where we have a lot of financial freedom to do things without only considering finances. We're saving more money, we're having more travel opportunities, and we just don't have the same overhead that we have here. Did you already do some house hunting? So like I said, we're not buying anything for at least a couple of years, but I have done a lot of researching, looking at different areas and the types of homes and stuff like that. And like Costa Rica is just an incredible place. Like there's literally something for everybody there. There's so many different styles of homes. Yeah, so I've been, I guess there would be like a rental hunting term. Is there a term for that? But I've definitely been looking, and like I said, it's not about the house. Like I will be very happy with a small house, something that's easy for me to maintain. And I don't want to go into Costa Rica looking for the perfect house. Like that's not what this is about. I don't care about that anymore. I just want to have a nice space that feels homey and that has a pool and air conditioning. Those are my 2 must-haves and good Wi-Fi. Okay, so I have 3 must-haves. That's pretty much it. Anything extra is just icing on the cake. Are you taking anything with you or just clothes, etc.? So there are some things that I will definitely want with me. Like I'm going to bring like my blender or ice cream maker, a lot of like kitchen stuff, because obviously I love cooking and food is a big part of our lives. There's not too much that we're planning on taking with us because we'll be in a rental. We won't need a whole heck of a lot. That being said, I'm in a ton of expat groups on Facebook, and a lot of people say that linens and pillows that are comfortable are hard to come by. And I don't compromise on my sleep. So I need to have good linens and good pillows and even a mattress. Like I'll bring all that down there if it's not working for me. Obviously, bringing a mattress into a rental house is a little bit ridiculous, but if I'm not sleeping well, it will be done. Other than that, I'm really not bringing too much. Like I'm probably going to buy a couple new bathing suits, some summer dresses, a couple pairs of shoes, like hiking shoes, and then some slides, a nice dressy sandal. Like I'm really honestly looking forward to not having this overabundance of stuff just for the sake of having stuff. I think as North Americans, we get so caught up in consumerism, and it's because we're constantly trying to buy our happiness. But if we're truly happy with our lives, do we need those things, those material things to make us feel happy? I don't know. And I personally know that anytime I'm not feeling great, I want to go shopping. I want to buy new things for the house just so I have something to do or something to look at. Spending money feels good. But I think there's better ways to do that, to have that feeling, to have that dopamine hit. So I look forward to having just the basics. And luckily with a Young Living warehouse being in Costa Rica, I don't have to worry about my wellness stuff. Like I'll be able to get a good chunk of my Young Living products down there, which is a huge relief because I don't know what I'd do without some of those products. There's some funny comments and questions here. What is the average cost of living in Costa Rica per month? This varies a lot. I'm almost hesitant to answer that. I think if you're somebody that's a Canadian, you're going to have a different perception of things depending on where you are in Canada. But Canada is crazy expensive to live in, especially over the last year. Things have just skyrocketed. I know they have all over. I know that inflation is increasing, but I just think overall Canada is a very expensive country to be in. Specifically in Ontario, it seems very expensive. So interesting to be in some of these Facebook groups and hear what other people are accustomed to paying for certain things. And then as a Canadian, you look and you're like, you're complaining about $4 eggs. Like we haven't seen $4 egg prices since like the early 2000s. So it's all very subjective. But that being said, the general consensus that I've got as a family of 4, renting a place and owning a vehicle, because if you're renting a vehicle in Costa Rica, it is ridiculously expensive. Like you're paying thousands of dollars a month to rent a vehicle. So we'll definitely be buying a vehicle. Generally, people are saying you can live a very comfortable lifestyle, renting a place and owning your own vehicle without private schools or any extra travel or anything like that, for about $4,000 US a month. But there's some people that have been in Costa Rica for 15 years and they're outraged at the price increase of things as more expats come into the country and whatnot. So there's been many people in the Facebook groups that are a family of 4 that are living comfortably, and again, comfortable is subjective, for $2,000 US a month. There's a couple on YouTube that they posted a video I watched, and they were living on $500 a month, the 2 of them, and they owned a house, so they weren't paying rent and they didn't have a mortgage. So there's that to consider, but they just had a tiny house that just fit their needs. So I don't know what that all is going to look like. And I know, obviously there's high and low seasons in the country, and there's touristy spots where you're going to pay a premium. I don't think that that's any different than living anywhere else. There's premium prices everywhere you go. I can find a couple more questions to answer here and then wrap up this video because I feel like it's getting long. What type of residency will you get? So we will be speaking with an immigration lawyer, I think in 2 weeks, and I'll be applying for a digital nomad visa because my business is obviously digital, it's online, so that we can, there's a whole bunch of benefits that being a digital nomad offers you and having that visa, and then my family would automatically be granted into that as well. So that is something that we will be discussing further with the immigration lawyer. We are also talking to our accountant and just figuring out like all the logistics of giving up residency or maintaining residency. Like we were very intentional to just focus on everything step by step as it came into our lives. So step 1 was selling the house. That just happened last week, 2 weeks ago. So now we're moving into the next phase, which is talking to all the people, the lawyers, the accountants, immigration, getting in touch with the embassy, all these things. So that is something that from my own research, I believe that the best thing for us to do is to get me a digital nomad visa. And that is that. There's so many different ways that you can get residency in Costa Rica. There's mainly 4 ways that people do it. But this is probably the way that would make the most sense and offers a whole bunch of benefits to us anyways. So that'll all be things that get discussed down the road. But did COVID have anything to do with your decision to move? COVID specifically, COVID itself as a virus? No, absolutely not. Did the result of the direction our government / world leaders took with the pandemic? Abso-fucking-lutely, yes. I can honestly say that no one is going to force me to do anything I don't want to do, wear something I don't want to wear, and claim that not doing so means I'm a racist and a misogynist. I'm not a fan of the way that things are happening and the way that things are unfolding right now. It's very unsettling to me. I feel like there's a lot of government overreach. I feel like there's a lot of control. I feel like there's a lot rolling out and a lot in the works. And that 2020 was just the start of things. So being further away from Canada right now feels really, well, getting further away from Canada right now feels really good. But yeah, it was a big factor for us. We were disgusted with Canada. We were disgusted with I won't call them laws because none of this was lawful, but the rules and the mandates that were played out and the coercion, the tyranny, none of that falls into the way that I want to live my life or the way that I want my children to experience life. So that's all I'll say on that. Seems like a good note to wrap things up on. I hope you guys enjoyed this little Q&A video. If you have any other questions about Costa Rica, our move, leaving Canada, let me know and I will do my best to answer it for you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Take care. Ciao.